And welcome to Hannity. Tonight we start with a Fox News alert. We have a lot of new news for you tonight. Now, on this program, we have long detailed the hyper-partisan, illegitimate nature of this sham January 6th committee, now ongoing in the D.C. sewer and swamp. But over the past 48 hours, this charade has been exposed for all to see. Now, after yesterday's frankly ludicrous testimony, no one in their right mind should take this committee seriously. It has been apparent from day one this committee always had a predetermined outcome, and every single person on the committee, we all know, voted to impeach Trump and hates Donald Trump. And what we all witnessed was so blatantly dishonest, so unethical, that the members of the committee, well, they should be ashamed of themselves, although we all know they have no shame. Nor do their cheerleaders, known as the media mob. They are completely shameless. Now, together, they have lied to this country about Trump-Russia collusion. They have ignored Hillary Clinton's dirty Russian disinformation dossier. The Democratic Party, the media, they together ignored abuse in the FISA courts. They ignored Hunter Biden's laptop just weeks before the 2020 election that could have been relevant and could have had an impact on that election. Russian disinformation, they made it up. It turned out all to be true. They ignored the real quid pro quo with Joe Biden holding out $1 billion taxpayer dollars unless they fired a prosecutor investigating his zero-experience son making millions in Ukraine. They ignored Joe's lies about, I never one time talked to Hunter about his foreign business dealings. Now we have a phone call from 2018. He was denying ever talking to him about it all through 2020. The media mob, they echo every lie of the Democratic Party. They protect the Democrats at all costs, at all times. Remember, they told us yesterday this was an emergency hearing. We have shocking, game-changing, new information brought forward by a White House staffer named Cassidy Hutchinson. But that wasn't true. This was not an emergency hearing at all. This was not breaking new information. In fact, the committee actually, we discovered, interviewed Ms. Hutchinson on tape on 4 separate occasions prior to the testimony. Now, they have known about her claims for months, but apparently they never got around to corroborating any of them, which is pretty weird because Hutchinson's claims, we now have discovered, are hearsay claims. Like, for example, her wild story about Trump physically assaulting 2 Secret Service agents while trying to commandeer the presidential limo, the beast as they call it, and drive it to the Capitol himself. Now, tonight we're learning that the committee never even one time reached out and did their due diligence to the Secret Service to ever verify that far-fetched claim. And now the 2 agents involved are prepared, according to every news report pretty much, to testify under oath that the story told yesterday is not true and never happened. But none of that matters to committee member Jamie Raskin. Take a look.
Have you corroborated from other witnesses that President Trump grabbed the steering wheel in that limousine and got into an altercation with his lead agent?
Well, Cassidy Hutchinson is an entirely credible witness. She testified under oath in front of the entire country. Everyone was able to judge her demeanor. She has no motivation or interest in lying in any way. And so what we have on the other hand is some anonymously sourced rumors of feelings of particular agents. Look, anybody who wants to testify can come forward and testify under oath about what happened. All we're interested in is the truth.
In other words, no, they didn't corroborate the story at all, nor do they really seem to care. And by the way, Hutchinson does, in fact, have a motivation to smear Donald Trump, because we can break news tonight, according to 2 separate sources that I have now spoken to. This should have been disclosed yesterday. Hutchinson was desperate to work for then soon-to-be former President Trump. And we have confirmed that, in fact, she did work for Donald Trump after the election in his post-presidency Washington, D.C. office for several months, to be exact, from January 21st to April 9th, 2021. Now, keep in mind, that is well after January 6, 2021. But now suddenly she is so deeply impacted by January 6, she had to speak out Okay. Now, about her story about Trump assaulting the Secret Service, it's not the only part of her testimony that is under scrutiny. There are also serious questions about a letter presented as evidence during yesterday's testimony. You may remember. Take a look.
Ms. Hutchinson, could you look at the exhibit that we're showing on the screen now? Have you seen this note before?
That's a note that I wrote at the direction of the Chief of Staff on January 6th, likely around 3 o'clock.
And it's written on a Chief of Staff note card, but that's your handwriting, Ms. Hutchinson?
That's my handwriting.
All right, we have a little problem. According to former Trump attorney Eric Hirschman, she did not write that letter. He claims he did. He claims that's his handwriting, not her handwriting. Now, one of them is telling the truth and one of them's not. Now, if she's lying about the letter, we need to know. And by the way, we can easily ascertain the truth in this. But again, the committee doesn't care. They put out a statement that claimed, quote, the committee has done its diligence on this and found Ms. Hutchinson's account of this matter is credible. What diligence did you do exactly? Now, if this is such an important committee presenting such important evidence to the American people, I don't know whose handwriting it is, I'll be honest. The committee that never asked the Secret Service about her story, why not follow the science? We'll use the Democrats' favorite line. Follow the science, bring in handwriting experts, and let them verify the handwriting on the letter. Is it his or is it hers? Keep in mind, during a legitimate proceeding, well, covering up exculpatory evidence, that would be considered deeply unethical and would usually end a case right then and there, or if it's found out later, that would overturn a guilty verdict, for example. If this was a legitimate proceeding with all sides being heard, well, we'd hear from that handwriting expert. We'd also hear these critical facts. Take a look. Calling up the guard, and then it became the chain of command went to Nancy Pelosi and to the mayor of D.C., Muriel Bowser. Did you, as required by law, authorize that?
100%, and attested to by many people, and they turned it down. Nancy Pelosi turned it down.
Mayor Bowser's written refusal, the communications between the leader of the Capitol Police and their chain of command to the DOD refusing our request to allow National Guardsmen and women to stage on January 4 and 5 before January 6.
Did you both ask for the National Guard to be called up?
Without a doubt, Sean, we've made that very clear, not just once, but on numerous occasions. We wanted to make sure that there was plenty of National Guard on the ready in case there was some kind of violence.
I had a meeting with President Trump on the 3rd of January concerning some international threats, and at the very end, he asked if there were any requests for National Guard support.
What was the president's response to you with regard to the request made by Mayor Bowser?
Fill it and do whatever was necessary to protect the demonstrators.
So, as you just heard, 4 of the 5 people we now have on tape present during that meeting in the Oval Office on January the 4th, then President Trump authorized up to 20,000 National Guard troops to be available. They were never called up by Pelosi or D.C. Mayor Bowser, as the law requires, because they get jurisdiction. President Trump did his part. Then the jurisdiction goes to them. They didn't do their part. If this was a legitimate committee and wanted to prevent this from ever happening again, they would demand the emails, the call logs, all text messages from Speaker Pelosi, Mayor Bowser, who sent a letter, by the way, preemptively declining National Guard support. We'd also get phone records from the House Sergeant-at-Arms and texts and emails, and the Sergeant-at-Arms in the Senate, I believe he passed away, God rest his soul. Chuck Schumer, by the way, we get all of his information. The Capitol Police Chief, who requested the National Guard 6 separate times, but was turned down by the Capitol security officials, why hasn't he been called in before national TV? You know, we'd also like to hear from the Secret Service agents that were referenced yesterday during testimony. We'd like to hear from the handwriting experts. Whose handwriting was it, Hirschman's or hers? And other key witnesses. Of course, that's never going to happen because this is not a legitimate committee. This is critical because it destroys the entire predetermined narrative that Donald Trump wanted violence, was happy about the violence, encouraged the violence, and the committee, with all their selective, self-serving editing, still refuses to show in the hearings what Donald Trump also said during that rally. This.
I know that everyone here will soon be marching over to the Capitol building to peacefully and patriotically make your voices heard.
That would be called more exculpatory evidence that the committee refuses to show you, the American people, and others. Calling up ahead of time 20,000 troops. Sounds like he cared more than Bowser and Pelosi about safety at the Capitol. And they don't care about the truth either. These are just a bunch of sad, pathetic politicians that are obsessed with all things Donald Trump. They yearn to be relevant. And look at this committee. Look who's on this committee. Jeremy Raskin. He himself once contested the results of the 2016 election. He attempted to block Donald Trump's certification along with 10 other Democrats. Oh, wow. One might conclude he's an insurrectionist himself. In 2004, the chairman of the January 6th committee, that guy, Benny Thompson, attempted to do the same thing with President Bush. Wow. What about him? Now, all of a sudden, they care about accepting all elections results, no questions asked. I wonder how many people on the committee are supporting Stacey Abrams. And then there's the least honest person in the entire Washington swamp, which is saying something. That guy, the congenital liar, Adam Schiff, one of the biggest Russian collusion truthers in the entire world. He told everyone he possessed top secret evidence proving Donald Trump's collusion with Russia. Well, that never materialized except of him on tape with a Russian prankster saying they had compromising materials on Donald Trump, and he was scheming to get them. And all of this, by the way, so-called evidence has been debunked. Why? Because Adam Schiff is nothing but a congenital liar. And that brings us now to Congresswoman Liz Cheney. Oh, look at that. Right there pictured with a warm embrace with yesterday's star witness. Here hugging a prior witness several days ago. Now, quick question. We're just supposed to sit back and accept all of the anti-Trump rhetoric by all the Trump impeachers. There's not one person that has a different point of view on this committee. We're supposed to just take everything as pure gospel truth. A committee, by the way, who is apparently very close with the witnesses, a committee with members who never accepted the results of the 2016 election and other elections, a committee without any dissent, without any pro-Trump Republicans, a committee purposely leaving out critical testimony of Donald Trump's efforts to protect the Capitol with National Guard troops before crowds ever showed up in D.C. Especially, it was smart in light of the 574 riots where, let's see, dozens of Americans died and thousands of cops were injured and billions of property damage. That seemed like a wise and prudent thing to do. Jim Banks will join us in a minute. They were not allowed on the committee. They were kicked off the committee. Why? Because the committee doesn't care about the whole truth and nothing but the truth. It doesn't care about ethics. It doesn't care about real justice. It doesn't care about making the Capitol more secure. The committee only cares about smearing Trump and trying to make it impossible for him to ever run again. Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.